Good morning and welcome, Solvereigns. First, I have an apology because yesterday I said that the talk was going to be a very short one. However, the astute and very awake Lynn from Northland pointed out that it was actually the longest one I'd ever done, 18 minutes or something, I think. That had not been intentional. And so, anyway, this one is going to be a short one. I promise. Because it is about one word. So Evie from over in Dubai asked me what a sovereign is. Well, a sovereign is a word that I made up a year or so ago, and it's made up from two words. Firstly, from soul, and secondly, from sovereign. And it's recognition that we are those two things. Firstly, we are soul, because that comes first. We are part of the oneness. We are of the oneness, if you like. We are in the wave. And whatever we call that oneness, some call it God, some call it mind, infinite mind, spirit. There's probably 100 words for it. So our origin is in oneness. And soul, for me, means that's the oneness that we are. We are an aspect of everything. We are not separate. And then, like the Course of Miracles says, we are part of the mind of God. That's the terminology that the Course uses. And we don't get hooked up on terminology. And then what happens is we go, let's see what the opposite is. Let's just have a play with separation. And so that's what we do. We splinter off. We separate off from oneness. And that's how we've come to create these skin cloaks, these bodies, these experiences that my life is separate from yours or separate from everybody else's. And my body is separate from yours. And I can think different thoughts from you. And we all have different experiences. And we have different choices. And so the sovereign is a recognition that we are separate beings and that we are sovereign unto ourselves. And it's important to remember that because we are in charge of this body/life. It is nobody else's. And we can choose to go along with others, but we can choose not to as well. And there's many people wanting us to obey the rules. Follow the narrative, the dictate. We are sovereign. And so we are in this separate experience to enable us to make that choice, or make the many choices. Do we join with this? Do we join with that? Do we not join? Do we obey? Do we not obey? If that's the words that are thrown at us. I have always had trouble obeying and purposely disobeyed. And I could tell some stories, but I won't because I promised that it would be a short one. So, short that it's going to be, I must stop now. And so, just to summarize, a sovereign is a soul that is separated into sovereignty, and we'll go back to unity. And there is only one mind, in fact, because we know how so often we're thinking about something, or we're doing something, and someone else, the synchronicity, whatever we call it, things happen. So we have retained much of that unity, even though we are in separateness. We retain much of the oneness of mind, because there is only one mind. So, thank you for your question, Evie. And that's the answer. We're both soul, we're in one, and we are separate for this split second in eternity. Not even a bee's fart longer. And so I wish you a soulful, a sovereign day. That sounds weird. But anyway, I wish you that as well and see what happens.